Welcome to This Week at Four Horsemen, where we are in The Ghost. We are leaders of a secret cell deep within the Rebel Alliance. This is Spectre 2, Ronan Jarrus. And I am Spectre 1.
Easier for you to say.
Ryan Sandula.
Oh, why do you get to be here, Ryan?
It's bad. It's bad.
It's pretty good. Excellent.
So, Mr. X-Padawan.
Yes.
What is This Week at Four Horsemen?
This Week at Four Horsemen is our weekly show. We're going to talk about some events, sales, promotions, and some other nerdy stuff. All kinds of nerdy stuff.
And we're going to start off this show with a giveaway, like we do all of our shows. We're going to give away this beautiful Walking Dead Michonne variant for issue 176. Completely gorgeous. This is in honor of both The Walking Dead.
She looks familiar.
Yeah. This is in honor of both The Walking Dead returning to television on Sunday and also of Denai Guerrera's appearance in The Black Panther. If you'd like to win this, just please tweet the name of her character from The Black Panther to @4HorsemenComics. First person to do that will win. Yay! Comics!
Comics!
Get into comics.
We got comics.
We've got Hit Girl. So we had the resurgence of Kick-Ass last week.
We're number one.
Of Kick-Ass last week.
Yes.
And Hit Girl this week.
Yep.
Unlike Kick-Ass, this is not a new iteration of Hit Girl. This is Mindy.
This is actually Mindy.
Yeah, she is back, and this takes place after Kick-Ass 3. This is an actual continuation of that.
Yep. Had a chance to read it? It's a good story.
It's
good story.
very different.
It is different. It seems like it's a kind of a changing turning point for Mindy's character.
Yeah, for sure. Some
weird stuff.
Definitely check it out. And while we're on it quickly, Kick-Ass was amazing. It was so good. It was Kick-Ass.
Did it kick ass?
It Kick-Ass.
I didn't.
Moving on to Pumpkinhead. Yes.
I started reading this. It's actually very, very creepy.
Yeah.
I only got like halfway in.
Well, haven't you seen the movies?
You know, I was telling Alex this. I have not seen this movie. I've seen parts of it, like bits and pieces.
Movies. There's like 4 of them.
And I love the character. I love the effects in it. Never seen anything all the way.
You should definitely check out at least the first one, but they're all enjoyable.
Right.
So if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a series of like monster B movies where Pumpkinhead is the spirit of vengeance, and what always happens is like
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Like skulls on
except more violent.
No.
But in every movie, somebody dies and like is wrongly, and their family member summons Pumpkinhead, the spirit of vengeance. He's Pumpkinhead, and he kills people. It's fun.
That was the Crow theme, also. I think
it's probably the theme to a lot of things. Yes.
Good formula.
Speaking of well-done formulas, we have a Hellboy one-shot. This is Hellboy in the BPRD 1955 Burning Season. It is a one-shot, one issue.
You only get one.
It's got dinosaurs!
What's with the dinosaurs on fire?
You'll have to read. I mean, dinosaurs on fire. It's called Burning Season. It's Hellboy. Why would you not pick this up?
Yep.
I can't come up with a single reason.
No.
All right, on to DC Comics. There are not one, but two new Batman series this week. The first one is Batman Sins of the Father. This is a comic adaptation of the Telltale video game, which I've played a little bit of myself and is extremely story-driven. Should be an excellent comic.
Are they changing the story from the video game, or is it pretty much following it?
As far as I know, it's just a straight adaptation.
Okay.
The video game revolves around some dirty laundry of Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, coming out and him having to deal with that.
Ooh.
And like maybe some Nazis being involved.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. If you haven't played the game, you should play the game too. Yeah. But we also have Brave and the Bold, Batman and Wonder Woman #1.
All right, Batman and Wonder Woman aside, they're both awesome. Who is that giant dude in the back?
He is a Celtic god.
Yes,
well, I would assume. So I'm just going to go ahead and briefly read you guys the description. It says, when a Celtic god's murder leads to a war between the fairy folk and a possible breach between worlds, Wonder Woman must find the murderer and keep the peace while Batman investigates strange occurrences in Gotham City. As Diana must turn to the world's greatest detective for help, the two heroes quickly learn their cases may be connected.
Have you ever thought about reading audiobooks?
Oh my god. I was actually...
Yeah, good job for you.
I was listening to the newest Star Trek Discovery book on the way here and ranting in my head about how much I hate the guy who's reading it, which is funny because I just listened to the first one and I hated the lady who read read it so much. And when I started the second one, I was like, oh, thank God they got a different person. I'm like, oh, I hate him. I'll tell you why later, but it's, okay.
Nice.
Moving on to Marvel.
Marvel.
Yes, we have
Deadpool.
the final issue of Deadpool versus Old Man Logan. This is issue 5 of 5.
Now, Deadpool is also immortal, right? He can't die.
So he can die, but he has regenerative abilities.
But as far as like aging, he's not going to die of old age.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like Wolverine. You got to cut his head off and put it like in another state somewhere. Yeah.
Just like that. And we also have a new Doctor Strange series.
Look at that.
Doctor Strange Damnation number 1 of 4. So this is a mini series. So spoiler alert for Secret Empire. Las Vegas is apparently destroyed in Secret Empire.
Okay.
And this book has to do with Doctor Strange raising Las Vegas back up. And apparently in doing so, he awakens Mephisto, and Mephisto takes over Las Vegas.
That's awesome.
And apparently...
Wait, he's not in charge already?
Apparently Iron Cage and Ghost Rider, or Iron Fist and Ghost Rider, maybe is that Luke Cage, are also in this book.
Yeah.
But the cover is gorgeous.
Cover's pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm digging that. It's very nice. Okay, Star Wars books?
There's only one.
I know.
Week.
It's a
but
light Star Wars week.
But it's Afra.
It is Afra.
I just read this one a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Really cool. So if you've been reading, Afra has acquired this team of mercenaries and bounty hunters that she's going out on missions with, and they penetrate a rebel pilot school that's in an old Troid Federation control ship.
Ooh, nice.
It's really cool.
Nice.
And there is a character from Star Wars Rebels, a main character, yes, who makes an appearance in this book.
Do I get to guess?
Sure.
Hera.
Yeah.
It's got to be Hera.
They've been putting Hera in lots of stuff recently.
Yeah. She's a good character.
Boom. That's it for comics.
That's it. All right.
Yes.
So moving on, we got a staff pick.
We do have a staff pick. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, this show.
This is a show that I've been watching from the beginning and has grown to be probably my favorite show that's currently on television. But you've just recently started watching it, so why don't you kick us off?
I'm about into the second season, about halfway through the second season. Yeah, he took the picture down. I was scratching my head. Thanks, Alex. It's real smooth, pal.
It's just a water bottle. I'm allowed to have a water bottle.
So when Alex puts up pictures, we're always like taking drinks and like I'm fixing my hair.
Hold on. Got a text.
Checking the papers. Alex got us this time.
All right, so season 2.
Season 2, it's great. Kelly from the Orville is on her. Yes.
Yeah, she's Mockingbird.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
This show, every single episode, it just gets better and better. I can't wait to get to the end of this thing.
So
what got me started was the thing that you told me, and I'm just dying to get to that point.
Star Wars thing.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a Star Wars reference in season 5.
I'll get there.
And I knew he didn't watch it, so I told him about it. Oh man, I have to watch 5 years of this show now to get to this super awesome Star Wars reference.
And I'm in.
So this is kind of a polarizing show. Like every time I try to talk to somebody about it, it seems like they're always kind of down on it.
Really?
Yeah, and the first half of season 1
it's a little slow.
It's a little slow. It's a little dry, but it really picks up at the mid-season mark.
It absolutely does. It is a very, very well-written show. It's got some really good effects. I mean, the story's great.
I love it because it's at the same time equally character and plot driven. Because it's one of those shows where you watch it to the end and then there's a twist and you watch the next episode to find out what happens. But you're also super invested in characters like Phil Coulson. And not only Phil Coulson, you fall in love with everybody on the team. Fitzsimmons,
oh,
my
Fitzsimmons.
heart. Daisy, just everybody, and of course Agent May. Agent May is Bay.
Yeah. Blaine saying they keep blowing up S.H.I.E.L.D. They only did that 4 or 5 times.
They only did it 4 or 5 times. And what's really fun is to watch them in continuation with the movies.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of tie-ins, particularly Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron are super important ones.
Yeah.
It's a ton of fun. If you haven't checked it out, or if you've only watched it once, maybe give it a second shot.
Yeah.
Season
give
5.
It a try. Give it a try.
Season 5 might be the best season so far.
I've got Lakin hooked on us. Me and her are watching it together. So
we'll talk more about it later.
Show.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Moving on to the Four Horsemen versus series. Last week, Rick and Morty crushed Barbarella.
Of course they
like
did.
into the dust. Like she had like 3 votes or something.
She didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. So who won the comment?
The best comment this week in favor of Rick and Morty. There was actually a really good comment in favor of Barbarella, but since Rick and Morty won, we picked one that was in favor of Rick and Morty. And our good friend Jerry Toppin says basically Rick and Morty would have won, or Rick would have won. He may have to expend a couple Mortys to do it, but he would have got it done. And that is very accurate. They're disposable. You can get more. There's a whole multiverse full of Mortys out there.
That's true. And this week's match is a one where you and I have no pre-existing biases.
Not at all.
None at all.
This is up in the air. We don't know who's going to win.
C-3PO and R2-D2 versus some guy.
Twitter, don't do this. You know what you need to do.
So I've been reading the comments, and I was afraid that everybody's just going to be like, arrow, arrow, arrow. But there's a debate going.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's lots of people saying basically what you said, that despite C-3PO, R2-D2 will find a way to win.
R2 is my man.
Yeah, well, C-3PO is the heart of the team. He's the moral fiber. He's
the yin, the R2's yang.
Yes.
Can I say that?
I
just did.
You just did. All right, let's keep going. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got weekly events.
Yes, so this is an event image of all of our events this week. If you'd like any more details on these, please go to our Facebook page and click on the events tab. We're going to go over some upcoming events.
Yep.
As it is the beginning of the year. We have a bunch of large events. We got to start pushing them.
Yes, first big one we got coming up is March 3rd is a Warhammer GT Primer event coming up March 3rd from 10 to 7 p.m. So it's going to be a full day of Warhammer, 1,000-point ITC. It's going to be big. It's going to be really big. This place is good. If you've never seen one of these events, just come out and watch. It's a massive.
So for it does have a $15 entry fee.
Yep.
And to equate it to Magic, this is kind of like a PTQ.
PTQ, yeah.
Kind of like a PTQ.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of people, a lot of players out. It's great.
Also, for our HeroClix fans, we have the 2018 Winter WizKids Open. So this is a large HeroClix tournament.
Another large one. Yep.
Yes, this is on Saturday, March 10th. Registration starts at 10:30. Round 1 will begin at 11 a.m. $30 to play. This is a 430-point sealed. I'll double check that number. I think it's a 300-point sealed event. And there will be Swiss rounds followed by a cut to elimination rounds. Yeah. This is about as big as it gets for local HeroClix tournaments.
Yeah. Have you been keeping up with the local HeroClix events? Every single week they've got some crazy theme going on. It is a lot of fun.
I mean, that's what Nick has always done,
yeah.
and Mike before that. Yeah,
it's
for sure.
I love the themes. And then the day after the big WizKids Open, we do have a Pokemon League Cup. It is Sunday, March 11th, 11 a.m. $15 entry in standard constructed.
Yes, all these events you have to catch them all. And then
coming up, a fun counter on the ding.
Coming up in April, we have International Tabletop Day.
Yes.
This is Saturday, April the 28th. Details will be coming out, but right now we need volunteers to run games.
Yes.
Board games, RPGs, tabletop games, miniature games, card games.
Yep. WV Nerd Herd is always on deck to help us out with that.
Yes.
But, they're helping coordinate again this year. Mm-hmm. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Will. Everybody else involved.
Yes. Please come talk to us if you'd like. This is a great chance to expose people to a game that you've been playing that maybe you don't have enough people to play with.
Blaine asked if I found a Pokemon card I was looking for on Sunday. I did. Good. Got it.
Yes. All right. So moving on.
What do we got? Do we have to do
it's
this?
It's on the docket.
It's on the docket.
It's on the docket.
All right. So we through a court order, we had to hire Donnie as our summer intern, and we're now going to cut to a live feed of our This Week of Horsemen intern, Donnie the Dinosaur. He is in front of the store with an exclusive interview with billionaire Elon Musk. How did we get Elon Musk?
I know a guy.
That's all right. Then there he is.
Where's Elon?
Where's Elon? All I see is
Donnie. Where is he?
We're not paying him, right?
Perhaps Donnie's Musk scared him off.
Can I get another ding? The pun counter. That was a bad one.
Moving on to my favorite segment and your favorite segment.
This week in Star Wars?
Yes, the Star Wars The Last Jedi digital and Blu-ray release dates were announced. Digital will be out on March the 13th,
Yes.
and the Blu-ray will be out on March the 27th.
Got it ordered already?
I have the digital pre-ordered, yes.
Absolutely.
I will pick up the Blu-ray at some point for the special features, but as long as I have the digital so I can watch it.
Now, do the special features come on the digital?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to... There's no way it'll have all of the special features.
I would hope so. That'd be awesome.
If it does, I won't buy the Blu-ray, but there's like a 2-hour documentary, 14 deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to be great.
Normally, digital versions don't have that much.
Alex said probably the best scenes. You're in timeout.
But, I mean, but what if...
Actually shows up.
What if Alex was right and those 14 deleted scenes were better than the whole movie? How amazing would that be for us?
That would actually be pretty good.
That'd be amazing.
I'd be okay with that too.
I was like, wow! So moving on, continuing this week in Star Wars, we're merging it with a top 10.
Yes.
And before we dive into this, Ron and I, this actually came up from a discussion that Ron and I had this morning about The Last Jedi, and we realized this may be a little deep into the Star Wars fanboy rabbit hole. But if you guys, if you guys are willing to follow us, welcome to our top 10 Yoda character designs. Now, before we show number 10, I just want to say that Star Wars is, as much as I love it and as much as I defend it, Star Wars is not perfect. Every once in a while, they punt something super hard, and Star Wars Rebels is not excluded from that. Can we bring up Yoda?
Number 10. That's...
Turn it off!
Was that... Who drew that in crayon?
Oh my god!
What is that?
The worst part...
awful.
The worst part about this is that Rebels has the same art direction as Clone Wars. And a lot of most of the characters that cross over just keep the same character designs.
Yeah.
But they decided to redesign Yoda.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, because
that's real bad.
Yeah. All right, moving on to number 9. Yoda from The Last Jedi. Let me first things. It was basically impossible to find a JPEG of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to actually like crop one that was way too small. So it's not quite that bad.
It actually looks better than it did in the movie.
He looks more like
more
a Force
believable.
ghost.
Yeah.
All right. So this is actually what brought about this whole discussion, was seeing him again in the trailer. But
I like practical effects. I don't like practical effect Yoda. I think the CG. We'll get to my favorite in a little bit, but this puppet that they used was just atrocious. It's real bad. So bad.
I don't know that I think. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan, but I didn't also absolutely hate it. I think part of it is just puppets on like modern cameras.
Yeah, you pick up. I mean, the 4K that they're shooting these things on, you pick up every little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as sad as it might be, like practical effects are just, getting retracted every year.
Yeah.
As a huge a fan I am,
Yeah.
Moving on to number 8, Phantom Menace. Why does he
Lord.
look so weird?
He's cross-eyed.
He is. He's like, one of his eyes kind of blew out halfway through the film.
So this is also a puppet.
Yes, it was.
This is the only time they.
Now, didn't they have a CG version and then they replaced it with this thing? Because I think at one point there was like a CG.
One point in production.
Yeah, and I think there was a
don't
CG
know.
version, and it just decided to do this, which, Lord.
It's funny because one of the biggest complaints about Phantom Menace is not enough practical effects, too much CG.
Yeah.
And then here we are like, this puppet Yoda sucks. He's number 8 on our list. All right, moving on to number 7, Clone Wars Yoda. This is the original mini-series.
Yeah.
Which I like.
That's it. I mean, it's stylized. It goes along with the theme and everything else that's in there, and it fits in the universe. It absolutely fits.
Everybody is like very over stylized like this. Yeah. I liked it. I think it worked.
Blaine, you should see my my line art or my stick figures. I'm great at drawing. Blaine's calling me out on Facebook chat.
Number 6.
Number 6, Marvel Comics. Look at that.
So this
looks super.
This is a cover illustration of Yoda when he was introduced into the main Star Wars Marvel Comics art.
Right.
And it's just very traditional.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I like it. I like it.
It's nice.
It's much better than
It's much
the
better
last
than
5
this
we've
one.
seen.
I know. So
All right,
here's
his
the
head's
thing.
a little big.
Okay, here's the thing. Clone Wars lasted for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen Yoda more in Clone Wars
Right.
than all of the other movies combined and multiplied by 10.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Yoda that has occupied space in front of my eyes more than any of the other
So
ones.
you've been brainwashed. That's what you're saying.
No. I really like this one. And I also submitted this list to you for approval, and you said yes.
Yes. I looked at the top 3, and
You didn't bother to look at the
the
bottom
rest of 'em-
70%.
the rest of 'em, look at this. Attack of the Clones.
Okay, so spoiler alert, 3 and 4 basically have the same characters design as do 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's just go ahead and forward over to number 3.
Yep.
So 3 and 4 are Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones. And this is, I would say, aside from nostalgia, this is basically Yoda at his peak in terms of character design.
I agree. There's a scene in Revenge of the Sith when he's like meditating and Bail Organa comes up behind him and yells for him, and he like turns around. They do a real close up of his face.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite Yoda ever.
I tried to find the JPEG. I looked for
beautiful.
4
I
whole minutes.
Yeah.
And aside from like putting the Blu-ray in the computer and screenshotting it,
who's got time for that?
Nobody. But I love this scene
Yeah.
where he's going to fight Palpatine.
Yeah, bring it.
It's really great.
Yeah.
And then of course, Return of the Jedi, and let's fast forward to number 1,
Empire Strikes Back.
the original.
That's Yoda. Yeah.
I'm not a person that typically advocates for the original being the best, like no matter what. But I think in this case,
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of practical effect Yodas, but this one, it worked so well. I mean, it was great.
judge me by my size, do you?
It's a pretty good laugh.
Thank you. Could sing the song.
Please don't.
We should probably get off this.
That's the
Thank
outro.
you, Yoda.
Thanks, Yoda.
Let's get off of this.
Yoda man.
Black Panther.
Come on, that was good.
That was good. That was good.
But yes, Black Panther.
Oh my gosh! Like I knew, like all the reviews for this movie were like rave and like 10 out of 10 and A+, and this movie's amazing. Wow.
Is it still holding on to like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know. I don't tend to keep up with that,
Right.
but I know like it was poised to like actually break some box office records.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it broke our third or fourth highest weekend opening like of ever.
That's crazy.
It is. It's a lot.
Considering like a few things. One, like this is a standalone like origin movie. It's not like an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And also that it comes out 2 months before an Avengers movie does.
Yeah.
And for a relatively B-list superhero,
It's priming the pump.
I think the obvious answer is that this movie is speaking to a demographic that isn't usually spoken to in these movies.
Right.
And those people showed up in droves to the theaters, which is awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
It brought a lot of people out.
this
It really
movie
did.
was amazing. This is tied with Force Awakens and It. This was the most crowded I've ever seen Tiger Valley Cinemas.
I had a friend that said that they went to go see it over at the over at Regal and could not find a parking spot. It was just packed.
But definitely earned. Like this movie is a roller coaster ride from the beginning to the end. Like very quick 2 hours. Like every action scene is amazing.
The action scenes was what really got me. I mean, everything was choreographed beautiful. There was a lot of stuff that went by way too fast. It was like the first Transformers when the robots are fighting and you really can't see what's going on. The same kind of thing with this. I love the fight scenes, especially the I can't say her name out loud now because that's part of our giveaway. Michonne's character.
I think she's
fantastic.
I think she stole
Holy cow.
every fight scene.
She did. She really did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Rightfully so.
Martin Freeman, who plays Agent Ross.
Yep.
I just loved every bit of him.
He did good.
And
he did good.
did you see the meme about this movie?
Uh-uh.
So Martin Freeman, who also played Bilbo Baggins,
Yep.
is one of the 2 primary Caucasian characters in this movie, along with Claw, played by Andy Serkis, who was Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies. So would you say that they are the two Tolkien white guys?
Oh, that's bad.
No, it's great. It's wonderful.
That's actually pretty good.
This movie is amazing. You should go see it.
Go see it if you haven't already.
Okay, so Countdown to Infinity. We are on week number 8, deep into phase 2. Brings us to Thor, The Dark World. I watched this last night. I have notes on the screen. I bet you didn't watch it.
I was not a fan of Thor Dark World.
Did you watch it this week?
I haven't watched it this week, no.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it since it came out 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It just it doesn't do anything for me, I don't think.
Did you come prepared to have a discussion?
Yeah. I believe it or not, I do remember these movies.
Oh, okay. So what did you not like about it?
I don't like the love interest. I don't think that needs to be in a Thor movie.
Yeah, but does that ruin the whole movie?
She was kind of like the conduit for a lot of that, so.
But she was
to be.
I mean, she was. It's funny you use that word because she was an actual physical conduit
yeah.
for everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, this movie has so much going for it. Like, this movie has more like Marvel fantasy lore in it than any of the others.
Yeah.
The Dark Elves, King Boar. This is the first movie to actually identify the Infinity Stones as Infinity Stones.
Right. Now, I did like, I don't remember what the red stuff was called, but whatever.
The Aether.
The Aether. That was cool. I liked the way that they did that. It was pretty neat.
I really enjoy, like, the buddy comedy aspect between Thor and Loki.
Yeah.
This is the first time you get to see that, like, prior to Thor Ragnarok. I mean,
that is worlds away.
Do you remember the scene where Thor breaks Loki out of prison and, like, they're walking through the palace and he's, like, transforming into all these different people?
Transforms into Captain America.
He transforms into Captain. Do you want to have a rousing discussion about truth and justice? God bless America. And Thor punches him out. I think you should watch this movie again.
I might try.
There's the third act fight scene. Like, I ended up liking this movie more than I remembered liking it. When I originally saw it, I remember liking it, but thinking it was kind of eh. And I think it's higher on my list after having rewatched it. One of my original complaints, aside from the love interest, which is unfair because Natalie Portman is amazing.
Yeah.
I think
nothing against you, Natalie.
I think the role is actually just below her.
Yeah.
I had always said that this had a very forgettable third act fight scene, but it was actually really cool. So Thor fights Malekith, the leader of the Dark Elves, and they are at this point in the convergence where all of the 9 realms are sharing the same physical space, and like every time they punch each other, they go flying through another world. Right. So they're fighting on Midgard. And Thor punches Malekith, and he flies to the Dark Elf planet. And then he punches Thor, and they fly to Vanaheim. And he punches him, and they fly through Asgard. It's really great.
I'll take your word for it.
Should give it another shot.
All right, I will give it another shot.
Yeah. It's also significant because this is the first time we see, or the last time we see the Warriors 3 play a significant role before they are untimely killed off in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Which is something we didn't talk about, but is just super weird. They just kill all 3 of those guys.
Yeah. Oh, they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Last thing I want to note about it is so this one has the ending where Loki switches places with Odin.
Right, takes over Odin's spot.
Yeah. There's 4 years before we get a resolution.
Yeah.
We don't see a resolution to that storyline until Thor Ragnarok, which comes out 4 years later.
But all he does is build a statue. You figure he would have done a whole lot more worse things.
I think that's a testament to that he really
have some control.
Yeah, and he really just wanted the throne. Like apparently he was doing okay, other than he got Matt Damon to play himself in a play about himself.
Matt Damon. All right.
Horseman of the Week.
Horseman of the Week. We got one of those? That's Donnie again.
That's Donnie.
Still looking for Elon.
He's not there. We'll check back in with Donnie later, I guess. But we do have a Horseman of the Week.
Donnie. We do have a Horseman of the Week.
Yeah.
This Horseman of the Week has been with us for years. He is probably the longest temp hire we've had ever.
Because he was hired as
was
a temp hire, and 4 years later he moves on
Yeah.
to another job.
Ryan Wolf has put unending hours and dedication to the store, and we just want to recognize him. He's moving on. He is going to NASA, work for NASA.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Elon Musk, I guess. Do we have Rocket Man? Are we going to sing? Rocket Man. Don't sing. Thank you, Ryan. I saved everyone else from a song.
Ryan is a great guy, and
He's a good dude.
we appreciate his service and loyalty.
Thanks, Ryan.
Good luck in your new job.
Get me a seat on the space shuttle.
Moving on to the Four Horsemen mailbag. We had a fun one sent in this week, continuing with our Marvel theme.
Okay.
If you had to kill off one character in Avengers Affinity War, who would it be? I already know your answer.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Steve.
He's done. He would be the first one thrown into the Phantom Zone.
I don't think Thanos throws people into the Phantom Zone.
Steve Rogers, man. He's the first one to go.
Spider-Man.
Well,
Spider, you bite your tongue. Spider-Man's great.
I think Spider-Man would evoke like a huge response from the audience.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's we'll want Tony.
You get rid of Tony?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it's just.
He'd actually probably be my second because he got real whiny.
I think just the magic is winding down.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a snappy comeback. Cool. It's like even Pepper's done with him. I mean, come on. Even Happy Hogan left him. I'm like, we're done here, people.
Language.
Well, there were some some set photos from Avengers 4 that were
Ooh.
leaked.
I don't suppose we have those, do we?
Cap doesn't die.
Yeah, guess I'll see it anyway. I can dream.
All right, should we check in with Donnie again?
Let's see where he's at this time. Donnie, you there? What is he doing? Who's he talking to? Donnie, turn your mic on.
I know that these field interviews are intended to kind of look like a casual meeting where they just kind of meet up and start talking, but I think it was a little obvious that guy was a plant.
Is that 3 or 4? I don't know how many.
Did you know Four Horsemen? So
So bad.
you know we stream our Friday Night Magic events.
We do.
Did you know that I tirelessly edit those down to single matches and upload them to YouTube? So if you want to watch the match you played or your friend played, you don't have to sift through a 3 to 4 hour Twitch stream. You just type in your name or your friend's name and it should come up.
Fast forward.
It's on our YouTube channel.
Check it out.
Yes. And we have a sale this week.
We do have a sale. So we had a couple people play at a Pokemon regional. Over 1,000 people came to this thing. We had 2 players. Curtis placed 126th.
Curtis Sheets.
Curtis Sheets out of 1,000 people, 126. And Carl also placed
Carl Piper.
160.
Carl Grimes?
No, Carl Grimes. He's on the porch where he belongs. Right, Maggie, you got this.
He's
Going to have a sale this week during Friday Night Pokemon. Entry fees and singles are all going to be 12.6% off. It's a weird number, but that was
Cool.
Curtis's rank. So
126th out of 1,000 people. That's top 20%.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Real.
And now, our post-credit scene that was suggested by Jay Griffith. God. This is the iconic back and forth from the Schwartz duel between Dark Helmet and Lone Star from Spaceballs, which, according to my father-in-law, I showed to my daughter at a very inappropriate age.
Ready for this?
Never.
Before you die, there is something you should know about us, Lone Star.
What?
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing, which is what you're about to become. I see.
We should have done the one about the jam.
Got us again. God damn it.